Richard Dawkins, Outgrowing God. Surely there must be a designer. Imagine Gazelle out on the Africa savanna, running for its life away from a sprinting cheetah, whimpering out what may well be its last breath. Perhaps, like me, you sympathize with the gazelle. But the cheetah has hungry cubs. If she can't catch a prey, she and her cubs will starve, which might be more unpleasant death than gazella's swift one. If you've seen film of a gazelle and a cheetah running, perhaps one of the David Attenborough's documentaries, you've probably noticed how beautifully, how elegantly designed both animals seem to be. Both of these muscular, taut spring bodies have fast written all over them. The top speed of cheetahs around 100 kilometers per hour, that's about 60 miles per hour. Some reports even put the top speed as high as 70 mph, which is quite rapid when you have no wheels, only feet to propel you, and the cheetah can accelerate from 0 to 60 mph in 3 seconds, which is about for a Tesla in insane mode what a Ferrari can do. The cheetah can keep it up for long. Can't keep it up for long. Cheetahs are sprinters, unlike wolves who are long-distance runners. Although their top speed is slow, more like 40 mph, wolves persevere and can eventually run their prey down. Cheetahs need to stalk their prey until they are really close enough for a final short sprint. Anything longer than a sprint exhausts them, and they have to give up the chase. Gazelles can't run as fast as cheetahs, again about 40 mph, but they jink, dodge from side to side, which makes it hard for a sprinting cheetah to catch them, especially because when you are sprinting at very high speed, it's hard to turn. Like other antelope, gazelles also pronk when being chased. Pronking or starting means leaping high into the air. This is surprising because it must slow their progress and consume energy. It might be a signal to the cheetah. Don't bother to chase me. I'm a strong pit gazelle who can leap high into the air. This probably also means I'm harder to catch than other gazelles. You'd be better off going for another member of my herd. The gazelle doesn't think this argument out. Its nervous system is just programmed to pronk without understanding why. Whether by pronking or jinking, if a gazelle can evade capture for just long enough that the sprinting cheetah gets tired and has to stop, it's safe for another day. Both cheetahs and gazelles seem superbly designed. The spine of the cheetah bends way back and then thrusts the other way, almost bending double, powering the legs in a frenzied gallop. Its lungs are usually large for an animal that size, so are the nostril and air tube because of the need to get lots of oxygen into the blood fast. The heart too is especially large to pump plenty of the oxygen-rich blood to the muscle, granting with effort, but quite apart from the size of the heart, the fact of having a heart at all, having this complicated four-chambered pump working away constantly, is remarkable enough. The mathematics of heart pumping has been cleverly worked out. I won't even try to explain it because it's too complicated for me to understand myself. How did all these complexities come about? Must it have been designed by a mathematically minded genius? The answer is emphatic, if surprising, no. And we'll see why the following chapters. Now think of the cheetah's eye. Menacingly fixed on its prey while it alternately crouches and creeps stealthily forward. While the gazelle's eye restlessly scanning for looking big cat. The vertebrate eye is a camera. A digital camera really, because instead of the film at the back, it has a retina with millions of tiny light-sensitive cells. You can call them photocell. Which photocell is connected by a series of nervous cells to the brain. There are several maps of the retina in the brain. By map, I mean of corresponding pattern, so that cells next to each other in the brain are connected to photocells next to each other in the retina in the same orderly fashion, both side to side and up and down on the map. The resemblance to a camera goes further. The pupil is widened and narrowed by a special muscle attached to the iris, the colored part of the eye. You can see this if you look at your own eyes in a mirror. Hold the touch pointing at your left eye and then switch it on while looking at the right eye in the mirror. We will see the pupil shrink in an automatic camera too. The iris diagram. Even the name comes from the eye. Often or close just the right amount of let the light amount of light in. It shrinks the aperture when the thumb comes out, expanded, and the sun goes exactly like the iris in the eye. The pupil doesn't have to round like ours. By the way, gazelle pupils are horizontal slit. Cat pupils are vertical slit in bright light, widening the circle when the light levels are low. What matters is the pupil, the muscle surrounding it, control how much light gets into the eye. Incidentally, the image on the retina is upside down. Can you see why that doesn't matter? Why doesn't mean the world looks upside down to us? Again, like a camera, the eye contains a lens that can be focused on near object and then refocus on the distant object. Well, of course, anywhere in between. Camera has fish eyes do it by moving the lens back and forth. The eyes of cheetah, gazelle, human, and other mammals do it in a less obvious way. They change the shape of the lens itself using special muscle attached to the lens. Chameleons each have independently swiveling eyes on little conical tornets, then focus the two eyes independently using the fish camera method, not the lens squeezing method. And they judge the distance to the target, such as a fly, by measuring what they have to do to focus on it. The fly then doesn't know what hits it. In fact, what hits it in great speed was the chameleon tongue, which amazingly is longer than the chameleon itself, shooting out explosively like a sticky harpoon. The tongue harpoon is then reeled in, complete with a doomed insect stuck to the tip. Chameleon and cheetah have something in common. Both stalk their prey slowly and stealthily until they are close enough. Close enough for what? In the cheetah's case, for a final explosive sprint. In the chameleon's case, there is a kind of final sprint too, but the sprint is by the tongue alone while the body stays rock steady. You remember the cheetahs accelerated from 0 to 60 mph in 3 seconds. The chameleon tongue has the equivalent of 300 times the acceleration, but it hits or misses the fly long before it actually reaches 60 mph. After all, the tongue is only slightly longer than the chameleon's whole body, so there isn't time to reach 60 mph, even at that phenomenal rate of acceleration. Once again, this all looks as though it demands a designer, doesn't it? Once again, it really doesn't, as we will see in the next chapters.